Good afternoon, everyone. This is Office Hours with my friend and mentor, Blaine Bartlett. Learn.blainebartlett.com and with / this week is LMM. So I got the multiple / which means he is a multitasking, multi-professional, and just a unbelievable mentor. So welcome, Blaine. How are you?
Hey, buddy, I'm doing really, really, really well today. It's been a great day. Yeah.
Every day is a great day. I know I'm doing very, very well, and I'm even doing better now because we have Liz here, and
Yep.
I just think the world, and obviously aligned with the impact player attitude itself, and she is an extraordinary CEO of her own group, the Wiseman Group, and also the author of the New York Times bestselling Multipliers and the Wall Street Journal's bestselling Rookie Smarts, and now her newest book, as I stated earlier, Impact Players. Liz, welcome to Office Hours.
Oh, it's good to be here. I kind of write books with a sports theme, so this is inevitable.
It's amazing because all of my publishers, I have all of these. I love to write books about spiritual themes, but yeah, because of my background, they want me to make it a sports theme. So like it has to be game time decision making. I can't have like the great reconciliation of the speed of light and the speed of time or some metaphysical definition. It's all related back to sports. But why for you do you utilize sports as a backdrop to the books that you write?
Well, sports are in many ways universally understood, even if you're not particularly athletic like me. I'm not a professional sports. My kids tease me. I have like a 3-inch vertical leap, not a pro athlete right here, not in danger of being recruited even into a pickup game of anything.
Even pickleball is watching out for you, right?
Yeah, I can kind of hit a ball for, it's close up. Pickleball is better than tennis for me at this point. But we've all played sports or we've watched sports, and it creates this common metaphor. Like it's accelerated learning. And I think they provide wonderful metaphors for the business world, whether you're an athlete or not.
Just your use of the term a vertical leap. People know what a vertical leap is, even if it's only 3 inches.
Yeah, even if you've never played the game of basketball, you kind of know what a no-look pass is. Yeah. And impact players are people that you can go, you know what, boom, I know you're in position. I know you're going to get this done. I hand it off to you in good faith.
Mm-hmm.
And beyond the impact. Oh, go ahead. Let me ask a question.
No, I was going to say that just kind of leads right into the whole genre of impact players. People know what that is. Michael Jordan's an impact player. Scotty was an impact player.
Yeah, you're making me think, Blaine, that maybe I do this because as an author, I'm sort of lazy. Like I want the head start. It's like I don't want to have to explain like what this standout contributor is that like is talented and makes a contribution, makes a team better. It's like, let's start with the term we understand. And the workplace is full of impact players. If you ask any manager, who's the person you hand the ball to when, you're in the fourth quarter, like when it's a critical moment and everything is on the line. It's not always the best athlete. It's the person who understands the moment, the gravity of the moment, who will like make the play, not just for themselves and their glory, they make the play for the team. And I had such a fun time studying who are these impact players and how do they think, what's their mental game, what makes them different, and really how does that affect entire organizations.
And you break it down into different ideas, and the first one being taking the lead and putting the impetus on ourselves in order to feel confident when there is a situation that needs someone to step up. And you start by talking about how do we take the lead as an impact player, because I think a lot of times people are afraid to let their light shine. And I see it as I get older, and I see young talent that they hide their light, they hide their talent. They're too afraid. I just had a circumstance in my own business today where, it was more about I'm too afraid to make the mistake or too afraid to tell you I made the mistake when, I think what makes it easy to work for me is no one screwed up worse than me in their life, so I'm really easy to work for.
Oh,
You
upside
you
from
did
here.
not lose enough money in one day to even, blip my chart compared to the money I've lost in my life, and so I'm very forgiving. But what is it, or how do we, not just as players ourselves, but as executives, inspire people to, hey man, take the lead. Let's make it happen. Mistakes are going to happen, but how do we get that fire to have people try?
Yeah. Well, I love this idea of like letting their light shine.
Mhm.
The workplace is full of willing leaders, but the problem is so many people are waiting to be asked, waiting to be invited, waiting to be anointed and given this kind of authority, the title, the office, the promotion. And what the impact player understands is when there's a leadership vacuum, somebody needs to step in, and that opportunity is going to evaporate when we wait around for all the official kind of designations of leadership. And they're willing leaders. They willingly step up, meaning, if they're in a meeting and everyone's looking at each other like, okay, who's in charge? We get we're colleagues, we get we're collaborating, but like somebody has to take the lead in these settings.
Mhm.
And when other people are looking around, they're like, you know what? Would it be helpful if I took the lead on this? Hey, I'm willing to take this lead on this initiative. But what makes them remarkable is not that they're willing to step up and lead. It's that they step back with the same grace
Mhm.
that they step up. So it's like, they're not the kind that always has to be a leader. Think of, I've got kids, and you think of the parents who are always volunteering, have to be the PTA president, want to be the room leader. Like they're
You
always
know
wanting.
my sister? I hope she's watching.
And at first, we're so grateful that these people are willing to step into these vacuums and lead. But then we become a little bit suspicious, like, what's your motive? Why do you have to always be in the lead on this? Like, is this about doing something good for your kids, or is this about benefiting everyone? And we really trust the people who are willing to step up and say, I'll take a lead in a difficult situation. I'll fill this void, but I'm willing to step back and create space for somebody else to step up. And, I was thinking about it. Both of these acts of stepping up and stepping back require incredible confidence, like confidence that I can add value. I'll take the
Mhm.
lead. But it also takes a lot of confidence that, you know what, if I step back, someone else can take the lead and they'll be able to do a good job as well. And if I'm not the leader of this particular project or initiative or moment, there's going to be another opportunity for me to shine, for me to play big and be of service to the team.
One of the things that you're talking about with that, Liz, and I love this, and I know that you've had this experience as the global head of development at Oracle. The idea of situational awareness, or understanding what's the context actually asking for, and I love, again, your term of the word grace. Grace in stepping forward, grace in stepping back. And I'm using word here as, the word grace as a placeholder or as a substitute for elegant.
Mm,
In my experience, the most elegant leaders are the ones that minimize the unintended consequences of their movement, of what they're
yeah.
doing. So they don't have to go back and clean up after themselves all of the time. Those are
Yeah.
the players I absolutely love having around me.
Yeah, because it doesn't look like a land grab,
Exactly.
or showboating, but it's also like a graceful way of showing up, sometimes uninvited. And you mentioned my experience at Oracle. When I look back at my 17 years there, my official job was the head of learning and development, the head of the university. But the most valuable work I did for the company was when I stepped outside my job. And probably the most valuable work I ever did was when I invited myself to a meeting that I wasn't invited to, but I thought, you know what? They're going to be doing work, really important work that I'm really good at. And I think they could really use me in this meeting. So I showed up to a meeting of all of Oracle's product heads. I'm the head of training. And I show up and they're like, what are you doing here, Liz? And I'm like, well, you've got to come up with a synthesized product strategy. And, this is kind of how my mind works. I'm a synthesizer. And I thought maybe I could be of help. And, you know, a couple people were like, huh, what? But then I sit there and I'm quiet and I'm listening and I'm trying to figure out where can I add value. And that process in that moment was a graceful one. I'm not coming here trying to take over or tell anyone what to do. I think I can be of service, and I'm going to slide in and offer my help. But then I'm going to slide back when my work is done.
You know, go ahead, Dave.
Oh no, go ahead. Finish your thought.
Oh, I was just thinking. I mean, that kind of you tricked something in my mind here about the distinction that high performance participants, high performance players in any venue make. And I'll just put it in a business context. You know, what's my job and what do I get paid for? Two very different questions. Two very different questions.
Yeah,
And
okay,
yeah,
I keep
so go
interrupting
ahead.
you. See, I'm just not listening to Liz. I'm not stepping back. So finish up. Sorry.
No. Go ahead.
No, it was such an important thing because the premise of where my energy and perspective changed as a corporate leader and as a corporate participant was not working. And I think one of the aspects of my career is people will look at and perceive what I do as so much fun. And, you know, you have my dream job. You ran the Notable Sports Agency. You have my dream job. You did these, you know, you're on these TV shows. You have my dream job. And yet I've always defined this as activity I get paid for or activity I don't get paid for. And so, you know, these activities, but I really want, because, you know, as we only have so much time and we get these tremendous guests that we could use for an hour. The one thing that's interesting through all your books is this idea, I call it exponentiality, and you call it multiplication. And you've written that book, Multipliers, but again, in the title, you talk about this exponentiality of impact, the multiplication that exists. And so I was hoping from someone who's written about this in such a great way, if you could explain exponentiality or this multiplier, as you call, of impact. You know, what exactly does that mean, and how can we get the exponentiality out of our efforts?
Well, a multiplier is a name that I give to leaders who bring out the best in others. And in some ways, it doesn't even start with being a multiplier of talent. These are leaders who just use all of the talent available. And this was an observation that came from my time in the corporate world, is that companies obsess over hiring really smart, capable talent. But then they forget to ask, like, are we fully utilizing that once it's in the door? And, you know, some leaders are so smart and so capable that they don't see all the intelligence around them, and they end up using a fraction of people's real capability. And people describe working for these diminishing leaders as tiring and exhausting. They're underutilized, yet they're exhausted. And these multiplier leaders are leaders who see and use people's intelligence, and they use all of it. And people give everything that they have. And people say, man, it's like a great workout. It's tiring, but it's energizing. It's exhilarating. And these are leaders that not only use 100% of our capability, they're leaders we get smarter and more capable around. They end up becoming these multipliers of our talent. And, you know, man, they got 150% of my capability, not because, hey, I gave it the college try, I left it on the field, not because of our effort, but because we grow so much under these leaders. They become users and multipliers of talent, and people love working for them, and they will do just about anything to measure up to the expectations that these leaders have.
It's the Moneyball approach, not to use another sports analogy, the Moneyball approach to corporate work, and being the Bill Belichick of your own corporation to bring out the best. And it is a true, I think, value of not just bringing the best out, but putting the talent in the right place. Because I see a lot of times the lessons of taking somebody's weakness and moving it within your organization turns into a real strength. And it's something I'm getting better at as I mature as an executive, of taking weaknesses and moving them to a different place in my organization. And all of a sudden it becomes a superpower, instead of, you know, force feeding the round pegs in the square holes a lot of times. And so there's a duality to the multiplier. Beyond bringing the best out of everyone, it's also putting them at the best place where they can perform at their best as well. Liz, we got to have you back. Obviously, extraordinary gift to our show, great wisdom. That's probably why you have the family name of Wiseman. And
not my name. I'm an Allen. I married into it.
Oh, you did.
And
Well,
honestly,
you married into the right name. You married
I
into the
didn't
right name.
realize for a decade that Wiseman meant anything other than my husband's last name. And someone was like, that's an advantageous name. I'm like, really? And then I thought about it. So yeah, no, I just sort of married into the Wiseman.
Well, very wise of you to marry into the wise name. So I like it. Anyway, please come back and join us. Of course, the CEO of Wiseman Group. Check out her new book, Impact Players, How to Take the Lead, Play Bigger, and Multiply Your Impact. An extraordinary gift. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you both.
Liz, love having you on the show. Thank you.
What a great guest.
Oh, wonderful. I love that. Yeah,
it's very cool. Oh, we're gonna just jump right back into it now with another wonderful woman. We are just blessed here. Talk about names, right? My name means beloved servant. You have Liz Wiseman, and now accordingly Patricia Love.
Exactly, and that is my name.
Did you marry into love? Did you marry into love? Well, Patricia is the women's motivational and confidence coach, best-selling author as well, an extraordinary entrepreneur. And your new book, which is interesting, Seen and Unheard, a little girl's journey from silence to empowerment. And so many people, not just women, sit in silence and have this traumatic experience that never gets healed. And I see your book as one of healing, and you're a person of healing as you motivate and create confidence in people to bring, once again, the light out. What was your personal experience that you delve into that has, allowed you to really have some great insight on, these life issues that we have, that we work through? And I assume you have kind of a personal intention in what you do and what you write.
Yeah, actually, it's interesting you asked that. And it's funny because, as I was going to be on this podcast, I was listening to thinking of your name, The Office Hours, right? And how in so many ways people put a mask on during office hours, during the times that they're working, during the times that they're stepping outside their home. They put that mask on to be somebody else because they're not, they're too vulnerable, and they don't want to be who they really are. So they're basically seen and unheard in a lot of ways. Now, a lot of that comes from childhood, like mine did, and a lot of other places. But I was just thinking about that. Whereas so many people are wearing this mask every single day, and you don't really know who they are, but yet they are full of lack of self-esteem and lack of confidence and a lack of stuff, which is exactly where I came from. In fact, I wore a mask till I was 57 years of age. Yet on the outside of that mask, when I put it on, I was a very successful realtor. Everybody else outside of me would have thought she's got everything in the world. She's got the cars, she's got the husband, she's got the houses, she's got all this stuff. In reality, when I went home and took the mask off, I was nobody. So it's a very interesting how that all kind of flows together. But for me, it comes down to not just traumas that people might have, that maybe they feel that they're not seen or they're not heard, but it's also behaviors of their lifestyles. Mine, in fact, was not understanding finances, not understanding relationships, because I wasn't ever taught really how to love and how to care. So all of these things kind of come together, and you start learning you have to interrupt your behavior. So it becomes down to the fact of, if you want to be seen and heard, you have to start acknowledging who you are and why you even want to change.
I love what you just said there, Patricia, around interrupting behavior. The idea that, and the study after study after study, 95% of our behavior is hardwired by the time we're about 7 or 8 years of age. Certainly by the
Exactly.
time we're 16 or 17. And we call that the mindset, we call it belief system, whatever it is. The only way anything new gets interjected, and what's interesting here, I'm going to just kind of back up a little bit.
Sure.
Today's the 20th. Yesterday was January 19th. January 19th is also known as failure day, I guess is the word I would use for
Maybe it's because I never use that word.
Really?
yeah.
It's Alzheimer's Day, and
I can't remember it, but it's the day that most people quit their New Year's resolution.
oh wow,
that's
I love it.
true, yeah.
I love it. Anti-coherence day. Anti-coherence day. I like it.
We make these promises to ourselves to be, do, or have something different, and we run right smack into this hard wiring, and that internal voice is not heard. There's so much in place here that doesn't allow for the voice of the spirit of who I am to really come out. Exactly. So finding a way to interrupt it is the only way that you can, actually begin to reinstall something different. Interrupt the pattern.
Everybody knows that if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, like I was doing it for 57 years, and I kept wondering, why am I getting these same results, right? Why do I keep divorcing? Why do I keep not having a good relationship? Why do I have money than no money? There were behaviors that I wasn't willing to acknowledge. So I call that kind of a messy life, which is what a lot of people have. They have a lot of messes out there, but until they actually stop, and I always suggest get off that hamster wheel and start saying, okay, wait a minute. What do I need to change? And why do I need to change it? Because if you don't have a good why, it's like saying, January 1st, I'm going to lose 25 pounds this week. I'm going to lose 25 pounds in a month. But if you don't have a good reason to lose that 25 pounds, you probably might lose a few, or you might say, oh, I'll just eat that cake anyway, because you don't have a good why. You got to have a good why to say, I'm not going to go back there because of this, this, and this. And in my case, I didn't want to go back to that lonely day of everything that hit the fan, that, broke, no money, husband leaves for a younger woman, my mom dies, just all kinds of things happen. I had to sit there and go, wait a minute, maybe it's not all them. Maybe you play a part in this, and maybe you need to interrupt some things to change and to make some changes, which I believe everybody has to do, because everybody has messes, but so many people don't want to acknowledge it. They just, they don't want to believe that they could possibly have some negativity around them or within them.
Well, that energetic and genetic inheritance is hard to recognize, as well as to shift, even though the patterns are apparent in our familiar great-grandparents, grandparents, parents lineage, as well as the patterns of 3 divorces, or losing my job, or going bankrupt twice, or whatever the circumstances may be. What I find really interesting about today, and I've been in technology for so many years, applicable to so many different verticals, professions, and skills and knowledge that I've seen, but I haven't seen a Confident You app. And
it's coming.
and I look at apps as just amazing things, but the biggest challenge to apps are like New Year's resolutions, cohering or remembering to utilize the app, and actually utilizing it and building a big enough community to use an app is just like an idea. And so for you, given that you understand how to build confidence, how do you get women to remember to use the app, or to actually use it? Because that would make a significant impact or change.
Sure.
And I think people don't talk about that side of an app. They just talk about how great their apps are, but if no one's using it or remembering to use it,
it's nothing, right? Yeah. I mean, it's like, if you don't know who it's like selling a book. If no one knows about it, no one's going to buy it. But I believe that you have to just continually remind people. I mean, people need reminders on a daily basis. I mean, we'd almost forget to brush our teeth if it didn't become a habit of some sort. You know, we have to create a habit sometime in that and creating that app. But that's no different than saying, okay, I'm going to make the decision of losing weight, or I'm going to make the decision to change my life. So the women that I'm going to be talking to and the people that are going to be joining my app, Confident You, are going to be the ones that they really are going to dive in and have a why. They're not just going to get the Confident You just because they want to get it. This is somebody that actually really wants to change. And I only want women that really, or men, but basically I work with a lot of women that really want to change. Those are the people that will be consistent. Those are the people that want to do something different. I love one of my favorite quotes is, if I change the way I look at things, the things I look at change, right? By Wayne Dyer.
Wayne Dyer.
Love him.
Well, isn't it actually Xanders that wrote that originally, and then Dyer
it
used
could
it?
Be. Wayne Dyer has it listed, so you know.
That's mine. Yeah.
Could be Xander. I just love it, and it actually took me a while to figure that out, but it's really when we decide that we want to do something and make it a priority, right? Make something a priority. So the app itself, I have to make sure that people create it and make sure that they want to have a priority in their life. Otherwise, I can't help anybody. You can't help anybody that doesn't want to help themselves. So and I'm very direct when it comes to that. When I'm talking to my women or coaching women, I say, look, I can't help it if you don't want to help yourself. So this may go on for a week coaching, or we can go on and continue on, but we may be quitting in a week if you're not into it. So I believe that. And so I also believe that if you do remind people, you are consistent with what you're doing and what your voice is and being seen and heard, it will come to you. Because I do believe in manifestation also.
I'm with you.
I'm manifesting
it's a vibrational conversation.
It's all in energy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, we certainly appreciate it. I think manifestation is a big part of what we do. I think I even wrote my first book called Manifest All You Desire in Life and Business, Connected to Goodness. Yep. So Patricia, where can people, patricialove.com, where can people find the app?
They will be on Apple. It's actually supposed to come on today or tomorrow. I'm just at the beginning. I'm just fingers crossed, you know how that goes. But Confident You will be on Apple and Google, and you'll be able to just go to your Apple, store and download it really easily. And you will see a lot of me. You'll see a lot of podcasting. You'll see lots of interaction. There's going to be a community. It's going to be fantastic. So I'm excited about it. And then if it's not up yet, they can go to patricialove.com and it can sign up and they'll get more information. So absolutely.
I would love it. Make sure also to check out Seen and Unheard. Thank you so much. The name that says it all, Patricia Love. We loved having you on. Thanks for having me.
All right. Thanks for being here. Thank you.
Hey, enjoy the sailboat.
Yeah.
What?
Enjoy your sailboat.
Oh, I'm not on my boat right this moment.
I know.
And it's a power boat.
That does not look like a boat.
It's a power boat, by the way. Can't go sailboat. It's got a power boat.
That a girl. I love it. Well, you can invite us anytime.
Too slow for me.
There you go. Yes.
We believe it.
Thanks
Thank you so much. You're awesome.
Take care.
Thank you. All right, my friend. Now we move from the two lovely women to David Shapiro. I think I got 8 friends named David Shapiro, by the way. And now I got 9.
You know the same ones I know.
Exactly. How many David Shapiros do you know? We can play that game. President of Pixellot North America, right? Once again, up our alley. We were talking about impact all day. And here is another person related to sports having, this great impact on the advances in AI video production with our sports. And I think especially in the marketing side of things, AI plays such a significant role in sports, beyond training, beyond whatever other aspects of just a multi-billion-dollar industry. For you on the video production side, how has AI enhanced what you do and allowed you to work with some of the biggest leagues, teams, and organizations in the world?
Yeah, AI has, I think, really changed the game in sports, not just at the highest levels, but all the way down into youth and amateur sports. We're using AI to essentially democratize the production of sports events. So if you think back to, even 10 years ago, the only events that were being produced are the highest level. right?
Mhm.
NBA, Major League Baseball, NHL, NFL, and then Power Five Division I conferences. And even in the Power Five at USC, for example, it's mostly men's basketball, maybe a little women's basketball, football, a couple baseball games that are going to get produced. What we're doing is really democratizing that to make it available to every sports program on campus in colleges and then down into high school sports and youth sports. I think back to my playing days, I played Division II baseball and 0 of our games were produced. None of my high school games were produced. And that has changed now. I mean, we're producing every Friday night approximately 4,000 high school football games.
Wow.
Wow.
I will tell you that I went to Occidental College and we made the national championships, and they televised. We were in the Final Four for Division III college football, and Merlin Olsen, who has passed, obviously, Merlin Olsen was on CBS, who was covering the game, and I was so excited. I told all my friends to watch, and we ended up losing to Northern Iowa 77-0, but his thing to preface it was something like, Occidental College was 12-0, and they beat Laverne to make the national championships, and next week they're going to play Shirley. So be glad that your Division II football team wasn't televised back then, or your baseball team. Sorry, it was the most embarrassing moment. I thought I was so famous, and to be made fun of by Merlin Olsen was the highlight of my college football career. Anyway, Blaine, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean 4,000. I mean that's just a crazy number. And 77-0, David. Really?
Yeah. We didn't know how to play in the snow.
But yeah, back to what you're up to, David. Yeah, how do you go from what was to 4,000 games at that level? And just, I'm just curious, as somebody that I know enough about AI to be dangerous, but I don't know enough about AI to answer my question. So,
Yeah.
how
What's
this-
the automation? What's the automation involved to get to 4,000 games at every level?
Oh, I mean, huge automation that's needed to scale at that level, right? And if you think about it, 6 years ago, we were doing like 10 games a year. We were just starting and beta testing this. And so it's really been the last 2 to 3 years that we've ramped up our scale. And I would say that COVID actually gave us a boost, because if you think about sports over the past 18 months, right, last school year, not this school year, but school year a year ago, most states were playing high school sports, but they had limited restriction for fans or 0 fans that were allowed. So think about, mom or dad, your son's playing a high school football game or a high school basketball game. You can't even go and watch it. Well, the school better have a stream available so you can see your kid play. And so that's where we saw a huge increase, was as there was restrictions on fan attendance, more people were wanting to stream games, and it became a must-have as opposed to, kind of a nice to have for fans and for schools. And I think that adoption has carried forward. Now, obviously, there's not as many fan restrictions, but people have gotten used to being able to consume content when they want to and how they want to.
Mm-hmm. And you talked about the democratization. I'm assuming that the price point has come down as a consequence of the democratization.
It has significantly. So if you look, a lot of schools, colleges and high schools will look at traditional production, and then they'll look at our technology, and we're usually a fraction of the cost. So for example, we did a project with Major League Baseball recently. We produced about 500 games for them in the Draft League and Appalachian League, both lower tier minor leagues that they have. And we were roughly, 1/50th of the cost of traditional production when they went and priced it out in the market. So, the price, if you have a lot of games, which you have in baseball, the price per game is extremely low, because we're kind of a fixed cost. You pay a hardware and a software fee. Doesn't matter whether you're producing 10 games or 100 games. So if you're producing 100 games, you get very good economies of scale there.
That's amazing. Beyond that, I imagine as well, besides reducing the costs, that, coming from the sports marketing side of things and experience that I have, that this now allows smaller leagues and organizations to create a profit center that wasn't available because of the amplification of the audience to, out of state, out of country, and just homes that they never could reach before. Is there certain areas where this profit center is more prevalent than others?
Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, it really opens up a new monetization channel for the lower tiered leagues, the smaller colleges, et cetera, because they usually were just able to generate money off of butts in the seats, people paying for tickets, concessions, and maybe parking. And now, not only does this bring a new revenue stream, in regards to a subscription business, but it also amplifies the sponsorship that you can have. So now, instead of just having that, banner in the outfield or on the sideline of the football game and the 1,000 people that are at the game seeing it, now, alumni from that college or fans of it across the world are able to see the game and see your brand that's associated with it.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Yeah.
And where do you see it going next? Obviously this is more in my realm than Blaine's, but I'm someone who takes the technology today, make it applicable to what traditionally has been going on in sports, and then try to amplify that or to create a future of where this technology is going. Because you're so deep in this technology, what are some of the things that we're going to see over the next few years because it's so affordable and because it creates a profit center?
Yeah, so I think reaching really downstream in the sports ecosystem into youth sports. 10 years ago, no high school games were produced. Now, huge portion of the high school games are being produced. I think the next phase is going even downstream from that. 10-year-old baseball, t-ball. I mean, every game you go to, you've got parents walking around with their phone trying to capture that one special moment. So they're holding their phone up for 2 hours to get the 10 seconds that they really want to see. So we've created products that are on top of like a small GoPro camera like this, that a parent can take to their kid's basketball game, use that to capture, and then our AI works in the cloud and does all the tracking and automatic highlights from there. So I think, where it goes, one is downstream even more. The second is really personalizing content. So we're using optical recognition to track uniform numbers of every player. We can also track when the ball goes through the hoop, so that we can take a basketball game of a 10-year-old and be able to automate the moments that mom or dad want to be able to have, or that the kid wants to have for his recruiting tape. So you could get just number 10's baskets after the game, or just number 18's baskets, have that automatically cut up for you.
Yeah, which then means that we can have, the Meltzer family red zone, which is basically
Exactly.
you get alert on your phone that your kid made a nice play and you get to see it in real time, or, specifically as a replay right afterwards even, which is really convenient as a fan, or a parent as a fan, that, we get to see the plays, without having to spend 3 hours to see the two good plays, and yet we can share in that experience and have a conversation afterwards about the extraordinary plays, or any of the plays that we now can pick up by that number, or any other indicator that allows us to identify it. So, it's just absolutely amazing. And I'm thinking on the business context of so many different subscriptions, and as well as collectibles and signables and digital types of memorabilia from high school, college, and even little league. So I'd love to keep my eye on this, and I'm sure from the smallest leagues to the biggest leagues, we'll see more of Pixellot's technology, and our president David Shapiro leading the way, changing the face of our sports atmosphere and platform. Thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. I've listened to your show in the past. Great to be a guest here.
Yeah, you did a great job.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. I just wish it was available when my 3 girls were cheerleading, because there's nothing more painful than sitting in a loud gym to watch 2 minutes of cheerleading. I would have liked an alert and just been able to watch it from my couch.
Hey, I was a gymnast at university, and I've got no record of me doing anything. And
that could be a good thing. That could be a good thing to play.
That could actually be a good thing. Yeah. Yeah.
Just like I don't want to see the 77-0 game. So it's a good thing.
There had to be highlights there, buddy.
More low lights, but yes, I enjoyed it. The first punt to me, I ran up underneath it and slipped like 10 yards and watched the ball go over my head and got ran. It's just ridiculous. Anyway, takeaways for the day. What a fun episode this was with extraordinary people. What'd you gather from today?
You know, the impact of, and I'm going to use the word voice in a very generalized way here. The impact of voice, and voice either in a video format. I mean, being able to capture my 10-year-old doing something, there's a voice there. I mean, so the amplification. What does it mean to have impact? I have to step up. I have to find possibilities that didn't exist before. I have to be aware of the situation and the environment. What's the context calling for? And one of the things that I particularly like, that David was talking about is, I mean, just that growth cycle, but the elegance of it. It's the democratization, price point comes down, accessibility opens up, and there's almost none, very minimal unintended consequences to that process. And the same is true when if you're looking at impact players. These are the folks that know how to step in and step back. Their voice, they're modulating. They know how to dial it up, dial it back. And with Patricia talking about bringing that unnoticed, that unrecognized voice, amplifying it, bringing it out so that I now have presence in my life. I think that's a big thing. So
that's a great
voice.
Yeah, I love that. And aligned with that is just playing bigger. If you look at Liz and Patricia and David, I think with technology, it allows us to play so much bigger. And I really resonated with Patricia's Confident You app. And I'm thinking, man, there's an app for everything. And then we get to, obviously I would have dreamed about all, just capturing all the sports that I participated in, but even more importantly, the ones my kids participated in. And I'm sure by the time I have grandkids, knock on wood, that we'll have the ability to really capture as you'd much rather watch your kids and your grandkids succeed than any touchdown that you've ever scored. There's nothing like, I will tell you from last season, I joked around, but when Mouse took that ball 42 yards on the first play for a touchdown, and I looked at Julie and said, this may be better than the day he was born, I meant it. That's but I would have loved to have the full video there forever, right? And maybe my reaction. So I think because of technology, we can play bigger and we can let our light shine and give ourselves confidence to do so. And I just want to encourage everyone to allow themselves to liberate themselves for themselves and for others by playing bigger. And the only thing that should die in your life is limitations. And we are reducing limitations every day. And I appreciate my friend here, Blaine Bartlett. Learn.blainebartlett.com/LMM. Went back to the classic mastermind signature there. I love it. You are welcome anytime. We're getting excited. I get to see you soon. And thank you as always for joining me.
Oh, absolutely. My pleasure. I love you immensely. And in the best use of the word, you are a mensch that is worth hanging around.
I love my Thursdays. You got it. Blaine Bartlett. Reach out to him. Learn.blainebartlett.com. Think much about it. Awesome. Well, that is a great episode. Another great day. We are blessed to be here. If you need anything from me, you see my email right there. Oops. Right there. David@dmeltzer.com. Thank you as always. And remember, most importantly, be kind to your future self and do good deeds. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks.